As I was saying, Mitikai or Asen. This is a way that I used to start all my videos, and I'm going to resume this because this is something I need you to hear. Mitikai or Asen is a Lakota phrase and a Lakota philosophy. Lakota, an American Indian nation in the American Midwest, one of the three largest nations, maybe the second largest American Indian nation in the world. Lakota were often called the Sioux, mislabeled the Sioux by the French, and for some reason it caught on with us. But Lakota is what they call themselves in their own language, and Mitikai or Asen means all my relations. This is what I need you to hear. This is what I need you to understand before I can have any of these talks. All my relations means you. All my relations means the world. We are family. We are family. Let me hear it now. I got all my sisters and me. Mitikai or Asen is everyone. We are family. And as family, we have not only the skill set and the motivation, but we have the necessity of figuring out our problems. The skill set means that we can figure out our problems. We just need to apply ourselves to them. So last week I said that we were on the wrong track, and this is true, but we can get ourselves on the right track. Life is conflict, and we should embrace it. Now, by conflict, I don't mean fisticuffs. I don't mean violence. I don't mean calling people names and shutting people down and, all these very questionable strategies. These very reprehensible strategies. Conflict, again, not talking about what's going on in Ukraine or Russia or, the usual thing between left and right political parties. Conflict is simple disagreement. So if I want scrambled eggs for breakfast and you want an omelet and there's only one pan, we got to figure out something. Let's say that there's only 2 eggs. We got to figure out something. So it could be a compromise, maybe omelet today, go out, buy more eggs, scrambled eggs tomorrow. Maybe we have cold cereal. I don't know. But conflict is simple disagreement. And we have to realize, you must realize that disagreement is how we go forward. This is how we move forward as a species, as the human race. This is how we get things done. So this sort of conflict needs to be embraced, even if we know that it's going to be uncomfortable, because the idea is, if we come together to resolve a conflict, whether it be 2 people, 3, more, we do so with open minds, open hearts, open ears. The idea that we can not only will we be heard, but that we are listening to the others. The whole idea is to be willing to learn, not to come to any sort of conflict, any sort of conflict resolution with the sole purpose of convincing the other person that you're right, or dismissing that person, censoring that person, negating that person. We must be open to ideas. We must be open to learning. We must be open to compromise. I see this played out so often on the political stage. Left and right, you have a set of principles, a set of propositions, and you are expected to accept those propositions. And if you don't, well, then you're not one of us. It is obvious that you are one of them. It is obvious that you are pick a label. And therefore, conversation must end. I'm not going to speak to you. You're one of them. And there is no speaking to you. I see this on the left and the right. I see this in families. I see this in arguments with neighbors walking down the street, or arguments on pick a street corner, or in a store, in a grocery. People refusing to listen, people refusing to compromise, people refusing to put themselves out there. Life is conflict. You know, every single culture has its own creation myth. Oh my God, there must be thousands of them, and I'm familiar with maybe a few dozen. The one that I'm most familiar with is, I dare say, the one that most people in the world are familiar with, regardless of their own personal cultural myths of creation. So I'm talking about the creation of the world in 7 days, the creation of Adam and Eve. You know, here's an interesting observation. I'm calling it a myth, okay? I do not believe literally in the creation story, but the reason that that myth has been written down and immortalized in the Bible, in this holy Bible, which has been accepted as the truth of God, is because this myth, this parable, this story, this narrative, this has resonance to our own lives. This has resonance to our lives today, yesterday, tomorrow, evermore. As God created all these different things, created the firmament, we created mankind, he created Adam and Eve, he created the animals, he created the sky, etc., etc., etc. Small things each day. Small things. Quantifiably. We're talking about 1 or 2 things each day. These are huge things, but not that many each day. He took his time. And then when he was done with each creation, each act of creation, he pronounced it good. Spend some time thinking about that. Because everything that has happened since then, since the act of creation, which was good in itself, means that there is good in everything since then. There's even good in the first murder was perpetrated by Cain against Abel. But the creation of mankind and the knowledge of how to use tools and the knowledge of how to use and manipulate power, all of this, everything that Cain and Abel were surrounded by, everything that Cain and Abel tried to create and do in this world, their bodies, their motivations, good. There is a semblance, there's an element of good in everything. There is a spark of the divine in everybody. And everything that we create this tablet, this communication device, this communication protocol, developed by human minds created by God. All these chemical elements that come together to create these physical devices and the communication protocol, again, traced back to God, traced back to pronouncing it good. My point here is that not only is life conflict, but it is good. And there is, every single time, no matter how horrible the conflict, for example, Ukrainian war, every single time there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is the promise of resolution. And of course, each time you come up and you solve a problem, that only reveals other problems, other issues to be solved, other issues to be tackled. It is good. It is good. This is how we grow as a species, as communities, as families, as individuals. Everything that I speak of, everything that needs to be tackled on a political stage needs to be tackled, needs to be embraced individually so that we grow and we become all that we can become. Let me end that here. Another thing that I used to do in all my videos, and I'm going to go back to it, is this. And this really has no meaning other than I like it. Peace! 4 fingers. Yeah. See you guys.